My name is Jim Reese. I'm the Assistant State Engineer over our Technical Services section. In our section, you've heard about a lot of different programs that our division is in charge of, and our section really just provides support to those sections, help them do our job. And one of the main things is to keep our website up and going. We've heard a little bit about our database, and most every record we have, information that we have in our office is accessible through our website. So it's very large, lots of information. I'll mention there are a handful of test questions that have to do with this. So, but I will definitely cover and emphasize those. So one thing to emphasize is that everything on our website is free of charge. There's no subscription to get any of the data or anything. It's all publicly accessible. We are an Office of Public Record. So today I'm going to really just demo our website, try to show you where on our website you can access some of the information that's been discussed. And if anybody has any questions, they want to see something, if I go too fast, let me know. If I go too slow, bear with me. I know it's not fun to watch somebody navigate the web for a while, but hopefully it'll be helpful. So just to start, our homepage, it's waterrights.utah.gov. Just a few things to show you right off on the front is there's this contact us section and a regional office map link. I'm gonna hopefully be able to show. I think you've seen this before, but it does show for given area which regional office you might be interested in contacting if you have questions. Okay. We also have a staff list that says who's who and who's working in which section and regional office. Okay. Right here we have a section, law and agreements, that we have links to the water rights statutes, so that take you to it's I can just show you real quick. We just have kind of an index page of different topics and then links to the appropriate statutes. And then information about the administrative rules. There are some things that are governed by administrative rules in our office, and links to those, links to different compacts and agreements that the state is involved with related to water, and then also information groundwater management plans. Okay, and then also occasionally when we're going to change, policies, or we're going to implement these groundwater management plans, things that have a widespread effect, the adjudications, we'll hold public meetings, and so we have a whole section here on meetings. So we'll have a list of scheduled meetings, links to past meetings. We try to put all the information for any past meeting, PowerPoint presentations on those. Links to meetings related to distribution systems, upcoming hearings that are going to be held, so those can all be accessed there. And then let's see here. Okay. An important part here too is this area right here, policies by area. And I'm going to click on that, and this has been shown, but this is this interactive map where the state's divided into water right areas, 2-digit codes, and if you were to click on one of those, Area 68, severe desert, and then here's all the information that talks about the policies that we have for this particular water right area. If there's groundwater management plan in an area, references to scientific publications. Okay. All right. Okay, so up front, right at the top, links to 6 of our main programs, or also under this programs link, there's a few more of those listed. These probably look familiar, topics that we've covered and talked about. Okay, you know, dam safety, stream alterations, water rights. Those are all programs, you know, that we deal with. Let's see here. Okay, so another important resource is the applications and forms over here on the right. These are all the different types of applications that one might want to fill out with our office. Okay, just kind of a note, some of these that have the kind of a Adobe Reader icon, those are going to be PDFs that would fill out. These others that have this other web application form icon, there's a key at the top. Those are going to be more interactive applications where you can you're going to fill out a form on our website and actually either print a document at the end, or in some cases you're able to actually submit that to us completely electronically. One example is that John had in his enforcement talk wanted me to point out was this enforcement referral form. That was a PDF up until about a couple months ago, and we created a form that where you can fill it out and submit that entirely electronically. Okay. So that's an example of that. One other point to emphasize, there is also an important form. If I can find it, there it is, address change. You can submit an address change request online to update your address. It's important to keep that information up to date. If there's any kind of notifications that need to be sent out, we do that almost exclusively by mail. So important to have your address up to date. Important to note that that is only for updating your address, as was discussed. Updating ownership there's a whole process for doing that, for updating title. Okay, question right here.
Do we have to update address on both the county recorder and for you, or does the county recorders pass it on to you?
Okay, so the question was whether or not we have to need address needs to be updated with us and with the county recorder. Okay, so I think we're talking about two different things. We're talking about just the address that we use to keep in contact with a water right owner. Okay, where the county gets involved, that's with title and the actual ownership of the water right. Okay, so there's a process to update the actual title and the ownership, but I do not believe that the county recorders keep address contact information for water right holders, right? They record the deeds, right? So, okay, I hope that clarifies a little bit. Okay, yeah, but that's an important thing to know is, you know, you can't update the address online, but just the address, right? Ownership's got to go through the whole title process that was discussed yesterday. Okay, let's get back to now. Important thing is obviously you come on here and we're going to talk about water rights now. And looking at water rights. So one of the main features is obviously searching for a water right? So there's a number of ways to search for a water right. You can search, you know, based on if you know the water right number, based on an owner name, all these different ways. We have we'll get to the map search later. We have lists of different types that list different types of things, like recent filings that we've had, recent proofs that have been submitted, those sort of things. Okay. So I'm going to start with a water right number. This search, you can search for water rights, change numbers, exchange numbers, different, recharge recovery permit numbers. This page describes kind of how the numbering system that we went into that little bit of that yesterday. But okay, so I am going to search for water right number. And here we go. Let's see, how's that look for you guys? I'm just going to zoom in just a little. Okay. So this is what you would see if you were looking at a water right, okay? And it's divided into sections. So right at the top, if there have any change applications been filed on this water right, those would be listed here, okay? The ownership. The general sections is going to talk about that quantity of water, right? In this case, it's a flow or an acre-foot amount. A description of the source, the county, other information. This particular water right's a part of an adjudication proposed determination book.
So that quantity of water listed there, that is the diversion, correct?
Yes, that quantity of water is the diversion limitations that we kind of talked about in that water rights basics presentation, okay? So then there'll be a date section with all the key dates related to this water right. In this case, not much. I mean, this was filed in 1936, so some of this may have not been populated because of transmitting it. Oh, good point. Just like has been talked, water rights makes no claims to the accuracy of this data. We try to get the data as correct as possible, and we fit it into this electronic database the best we can based on water rights. There's always exceptions. There's different nuances. The paper documents are the official record. Okay, the database is a tool for being able to access data and information quickly, but always the paper documents are the official record. So a list the points of diversion where the water is authorized to be diverted. You guys looked at this a little bit yesterday. The water uses section, and the water uses are divided into groups, and so we'll list what water uses and the places of use. Yes, question.
What if there is not a group acreage total number? I was looking at a water right that had the other group totals on the top, yeah, right by where your hand is, but there wasn't a number in the group acreage total.
Likely just a database, something missing that has not been entered. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the question was that this person was viewing a water right and noticed that the group total value that I've highlighted here for this water right, that it was missing blank, correct?
The one down to the bottom right. That one was there. The one at the bottom right.
This one?
One more down.
Group total acreage. Okay. So with place of use, in this case, the water we're looking at for the amounts that are in each 40-acre tract in a section, in this particular section, which is section 32, going back to that whole public land survey system, those acreage amounts have been identified either probably by a proof map or through the adjudication process, and those have been mapped and identified, entered into the database. There are some water rights where there will be just an X indicating that an unknown amount is used within that 40-acre subdivision of the section. When that's the case, if that's all we have, there's no way to total these up because, right? So this number here is a total of these amounts that have been entered for these 40-acre subdivisions. This total here is the total for those given uses, right? In this case, for the irrigation, 20.6 acres. For the stock water, 25 livestock units. Okay, so those are going to be the beneficial use amounts, right? Then let's see here. This particular right doesn't have it, but if there were if over, you know, any extensions have ever been filed, any non-use applications have been filed, all that information would be shown as well. Okay, so going back to the top, the important thing is scan documents. Okay, so for every water right, there's obviously, like I said, the paper is the official record. We have it here in our office. But all those documents have been scanned and are available on the website. So this is a reflection, this list of documents should be a reflection of exactly what is on file with our office, okay? And just a quick note, if you are looking through these documents, there's this icon here, and that's if you've come across a document that's not legible, you can click that button and it'll go on a list for somebody in our office to rescan and get a better copy. If we can't get a better copy, sometimes the original may not be in the great shape. Yes, right here.
Are there instances where there's stuff in the paper folder but not on the scanned documents? I can present an example. I was looking in the scanned documents at a particular file. It said, oh, we'll see this other attached file, but it's not in the scanned documents.
So the question is there anything that might be on the paper file that would not show up in the scanned documents? I think particular case it said referenced another file to look in. That shouldn't be the case, but I know with change applications, a lot of the information is only stored with the lowest water right number if there are multiple water rights on a change application. So sometimes for a change application, you've got to go look at the lowest water right number to really find all the documents. So, okay.
Is it something I just call the division and ask them?
Sure, yeah, and of course, if you see anything and say, hey, I think this is missing, just call our office. We'll get it straightened out, right? And, you know, okay. All right, let's see here. So, like I said, everything should be scanned. You know, as new documents come in, they're scanned and put on as quickly as possible. There may be a few exceptions, but let's see here. And then, yeah, if you want to get more of a printout, just if you're interested in that, we do have this way to do a printout of this, or download it as a PDF of the same information. Yeah, any water right, change application, any of these, there's going to be a view map button. That's going to take you to our map viewer, and it's going to search for that water right, bring it right up for you. So we'll talk about that in a minute some more, but for now, let's go back and...
Hey, Jim, just one interesting thing about the file you're showing is the underground water claim. And so if you scroll down just to the priority date and the date filed,
sure,
just the discrepancy there. Usually when it's an application to appropriate, the file date and the priority date are usually the same. In this case, it's an underground water claim. And so because you could use water underground prior to 1935 without a water right, they had drilled a well in 1920, established that priority date, and then subsequently filed the underground water claim in 1936. So that's why you see a little bit of a difference between those two dates.
Yeah, a good point. And that's the reason why a lot of these dates are missing, because a lot of this stuff, because it is an underground water claim, you know, there was no advertising, there's no approval from our office per se. the claim itself speaks for itself. In this case, there was, as a part of the proposed determination, a water user claim filed later and a proposed determination published that, and you can see here, I probably skipped over this, shouldn't have, the type of right that it is, and then the source of the info. What's kind of telling us that this is the information that goes with this water right. In this case, it's the proposed determination that was published. Okay, so going back just to quickly look at it, what a change application looks like. So very similar type of stuff. It's going to show what it is that this change application, what exactly is being changed. We have a date section with the describing, what's transpired. Important to, just something I want to point out though is that with a change, there's what we call a heretofore and a hereafter section. So on the left, you'll see heretofore. This is like the water right as it currently is. The hereafter is how it's proposing to be with this change. Okay, so we have those side by side to hopefully help the user see what it is being changed. In this case, they're going for that from that irrigation stock and domestic to a municipal water use. Okay. All right. So right now, this particular change application, if I come back up, its status is approved, right? So it's showing that this is approved to happen. And at this point in time, technically the water right could be used still at the heretofore location, or they could have gone ahead and started using it the hereafter. They should not be used in both, of course. But it's not until this application, till proof is filed showing that they are using it at the hereafter location, and that we issue certificate. At that point, this information, in accordance with the certificate and the proof that's issued, this information will then become that will become the water right? And all that information, if I were to look up this water right after this point, all of this would be updated. It would show, how they are using the water at that hereafter location, and and this stuff would change, right? It'd no longer be the proposed determination. It'd be a certificate saying, as the document. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Back up. Okay, so like I said, you can do an owner search. Owner/name, I should say. So does want you to do last name first. Oh, this is going to be hard for me to type. Come on. Okay, so I searched John Smith, pretty common name. Get all the water rights associated with John Smith, and there will be lots, right? Okay. Simple as that. You can also search by source of supply. Pretty common name in Utah. Oops, if I could spell. Dry Creek. So these would be all the water rights that divert from Dry Creek. Obviously not the same Dry Creek. If you look at the area codes, right, there's probably a number of Dry Creeks throughout the state. So some tools to research. Okay, let's see, another one. Okay, I can search by the point of diversion within a location, right? So I could choose a section township using the PLS system. Give me a list of water rights that are in this section. or I can say, I can choose a radius, for a given location. You know, give me everything within 2,000 feet. I want to see all the wells within 2,000 feet of this known point. Okay, so just another way to search for just looking for points of diversion. Let's see here. All right, so let's get back to the home page and let's go. Great tool is the map search. You can search for all those things that we've talked about and then some. And it's great because you can get all this information all together, look at it. You know, it's great to be able to see everything on a map, right? I will point out there are a number of layers that you can turn on and off over here on the right. And we even have more layers that can be added. Most of these, well, I don't know if even most, right? Some of these are our data. A lot of these are not our data. They're just data sources that we've tapped into that are helpful to pull in and you know, when we're evaluating water rights. And so okay, so yes, question.
On your township search page that you were just on, you can move water 3 miles, right? Point of diversion. So if you're looking for water for an area that you could move it into, you do your radius of 3 miles.
Okay.
Right?
No, that's the question is whether or not the 3 miles was kind of the radius that you could look at for where you could move a water right. I think you might. Are you familiar with the Tooele area? Yeah. So Tooele has a very specific policy that you can move 3 miles in one direction. I don't remember which direction though. East or west? East. So you can move within 3 miles towards the east. And that's very specific to the Tooele area. That's not the case elsewhere. So, but there are other policies and things elsewhere, right? And so, depending on those things, but that would be a good use case, is to be able to identify other water rights if you're looking for a water right to move from point A to point B, or looking for one to acquire. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so I'm just going to show this so I don't forget, because I know somebody asked about the irrigation duty values, I believe, yesterday. And so that's one of the layers that can be turned on, and then if you expand this, there's a key. So this is much more helpful than those static maps where you can actually, I could, you know, zoom in and see, oh, if I'm in bird's eye, then, yeah. Oh, you're right. That's a good point. Yeah. Through the adjudication, some of these upper canyon areas were the adjudication, the duties actually modified to be 4, so like this particular polygon here, whereas previously it was 5, just like the rest of the Salt Lake Valley. Okay, get back on my spot.
Hey Jim, we
Yeah.
got some questions about depletion and wondered if you could show the consumptive use layer, which is what we often use to figure out our depletion.
Yeah. And I'm going to show the use calculator too in a little bit off the map, but yeah, that's a good one. So if I show more layers, there's this consumptive use layer. Turn this. These are, this is a point layer. You can see those black with green squares, and these are locations for which we had a previous study done to identify what the consumptive use is for various crops throughout the state. And so these are scattered throughout the state, and if you click on one, you can get to that table. This is directly out of a published report from Utah State. So. Okay, so back on the search, just like the other search page where you can search for different things, you can search for those things and more. Lots of things you can search for. So I can search for that same water right. Oops, my mouse needs to stay over here. What was it, 1051? So it's going to pull up that water right, take you right to it. You see all these other points around it, right? That's just from our points of diversion layer that's showing all the points. Turn that off, and I can see, okay, here's this, and that's a symbol for a well, so it's got a well. And this, we talked about the place of use, right? And it's one thing to see that acreage and the acreage amounts and where they fit in those 40-acre tracts. This is actually where the place of use is, right? This is based on probably well, in this case, the proposed determination hydrographic survey map that was established, right? You can see part of that was irrigation and stock, that water right? But is there any irrigation and stock going on at that place of use?
Well, this is actually a client of mine, and this is the heretofore place of use, and it's not the hereto after on the change.
Right, so this is the water rights place of use. Okay, so the water rights place of use, it is, if you were to look at that change application, this is that heretofore, right? So this is where the water right exists. The change is there on top of it. So this is showing, and then so this is the mapped place of use, but there is a change, like we talked about. Somebody's filed a change. They've moved this water rights elsewhere. Homes have been built, and yeah. So when you do the search, right, obviously it comes up on the map, but you can also get links to these different items related to the water right and click more information and go to the water right viewer page. This is that change. Let's see what that does. There we go. This is that change that we looked at that was filed on this, so it's going to do that search. Now it's seeing, now with this change, we can see, okay, so the items marked with a H are here to 4 points after, and it's showing us in the case of that change, if you look at it, there's more than that one water right involved. So there's multiple water rights, multiple here to 4 locations, right? And then all be moved to this one cluster of hereafter points of diversion. These are the points of diversion that are being shown here. Okay. Yeah, let's do this real quick. So let's zoom back in and zoom back into that selection. Turn the points of diversion back on. If you're ever looking at the points of diversion layer in a given area, you see these clusters and with the number. Okay, that means that there is, at that point, there's, in this case, there's a 27. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but what's that telling me is at that particular point, there's 27 records, right? Now, it's likely that all these are 27 water rights that are all have that same point of diversion. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So let me go back. Let's get back to the search, right? Yeah, so like I mentioned, we have lists. We have a list of water companies throughout the state. These would be irrigation companies that have shareholders, and it's not a comprehensive list. It's a list we built as those companies have interacted with our office. Let's see here. Okay, so a lot of times we'll get folks wondering where their change application is. Why hasn't it been approved. Why is it taking so long? So we have a handy change application tracker that can be filtered at the top. These are all the change applications that we're working on. So let's see. We'll scroll down to the bottom real quick. There are 608 that our office is in some state of action. So if you have that question, that's where you can go for that, or you can contact us. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that was just from the home page. If you go to programs, water rights, and then change application tracker. Yeah. I just so you know, I do have questions all the time, like why is this where it's at, and why is it so buried? And we have so much stuff that it would be nice if everybody had the things that they wanted all right where they need it to be, but it's not the case. Okay. Let me see. Okay, one more thing on the search is the mail log. So this is a mail log search. We keep track, and that's where you can get to it. But we keep a log of every piece of mail that comes in and out of our office. So if there's a question about something not being received, or something that can be searched by various, and then see that it goes back to about 2002, so about 20 years worth of information there. Okay, I'm going to go back. This was discussed a little bit yesterday, back on the applications and forms. We talked about an application map wizard. A lot of times when you're filing an application, a map is very, very helpful to describe what exactly is the intention of what's being done. And this, here on this form page, application map wizard, that's a great tool, and it allows you to step through and kind of describe what you're doing. Just gonna pick some random place out here. Let's say I'm gonna put a point there, and I'm gonna use it in that triangle. And there's other options you can do, but then I can finally just print that map. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. There you go. So then you have a nice map that could be printed and included with your application. And so when you do that, you've got, like I said, you can do some annotation, choose different map layers that we have, and use some of that information to build your map. Okay. Now, I will say something important to know. That's only good for your application filings. Okay, that is not suitable for a proof map or a diligence claim map if you're filing a diligence claim. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay, so we have a couple of things. If under the water rights, and then notices, we have an advertising list. Applications that are filed are required to be published in the newspaper of a local newspaper for once a week for 2 consecutive weeks, and we also have a list, just for anybody that's interested, that just a list of things that are currently being advertised in newspapers throughout the state. So if you don't want to follow the paper, you could use that, although the paper is probably the official record. That's the official notice that we're required to give. We have an email service. That you can sign up for. Again, free of charge. You can register, and what that allows you to do, it allows you to get notifications for two things. One thing is if a document is added to a water rights scan document folder, or other scan document folders that we use throughout. You know, we use scan document folders for other things, stream alts, different things, but primarily water rights. So you can type in that water right number. And just click add. Now, every night, we got a process that runs, and it checks, did any for all the people that have signed up, are there any documents that have been added to a folder that somebody's tracking? If so, send them an email, say a new document was added, and then you can go and see what that document was. The other one is for new filings based on the point of diversion, okay? So what you can do is you can choose a location that you want to get notifications for, okay? There's a couple ways to do that. One is a point and radius, okay? So you can pick a point that, you know, maybe you have a well and you want to know if anybody's filing for another well within a certain distance from your home, okay? You could put in the location for your well, and then put in that distance. And if any new filing comes into our office where the point of diversion is within that area, you'll get an email letting you know, okay? The other one is we can do these by, so another point one is I can use my water right number to, you know, as the point that we're looking for. So you can directly type that water right number in, okay? Other things, you could do a whole water right area, a whole county, a distribution system boundary, or a custom area. And let me just close this. So I have these custom areas that I created probably from the last time I did this, right? And I can go back, view what it is on the map, what I'm looking for. Hopefully that works. There. So that's the polygon that I had drawn, right?
Can you show us how to get to that page again?
Yep. Let's see. So let's just go back. Yeah, if you ever need to get back to the home page, this up here, this banner, Utah Division Water Rights, take you right back. So that is under programs, water rights, notices, okay? And then there's the email service. All right. One thing I have in my notes that I didn't mention is that you can add alternate emails to receive those same notifications. So if you're in an organization and you want your coworker to also receive the emails, you can just add in any number of alternate emails to get the same notifications. Okay, so let me see here where I'm at. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to show you where that use calculator is that was discussed. That it's a little bit buried, so we'll go slow. So programs, water rights, rules, procedures. Okay. So I'll take you here. Appropriation policy, use calculator. Okay. So this is probably take a little bit of looking at and playing with to really understand, right? But the main thing is up here in this section, you're specifying what these different types of uses, what that duty number is, right? Okay, so we've defaulted, in this case for irrigation, we've defaulted to 4. That varies across the state. Domestic part-time, stock, those don't really vary. There's always exceptions, but those are the standard numbers that we use that were discussed yesterday. And then over here, if you're interested in depletion, these are some unit depletion amounts, right? And these are typical amounts that might be used for different things. Now, the depletion, you can also, there's a link here that will tell you, you know, because that's going to vary state to state. This is irrigation depletion. And this take you to this map, which is similar to the map layer that I showed you, but it's also an interactive map where I can click on one of these. So if I am interested in alfalfa depletion at Alberta, I could come in here and I would use this value, 25.35, which is in inches, divide that by 12. That's a little more than 2, so maybe it's 2.2, and that's what I would use. And maybe in Alberta, I'm not sure what the duty is, but I believe it is 4 actually. You can put this information in. Now you come down and saying, and you can put in, okay, I'm going to have 10 acres, and I'm going to have a home, and then I'm going to have this number of stock units, for example, right? Now with stock, we do have an extra little calculator here because not all stock are the same. So an ELU is based on a horse or a cow. Other types use less than a horse or horse or a cow, and so we kind of have some standard numbers for those. So I could have a cow, a goat, and a llama, and that's going to say that to have those 3 animals is the equivalent of 1.2786 cows, the amount of water. Okay, so you put that all together, and then over on the right, you know, you've got just like any kind of spreadsheet, you've got line items, and then a grand total of, I need 40 acre feet of diversion, 22 acre feet of depletion, and here's what the minimum flow rate I would need to deliver that water. Now, and also part of that too is these periods of use go into effect, into account to that, and that's where this CFS flow amount is going to look at that. That's the amount of water if you were to divert 100% of the time over that period of use, what flow rate you would need. So that's where those numbers come. And then, like was discussed in those examples, this is how you could determine, okay, if I want to do this particular thing, here's how much water I need. Now let me go find water rights that give me that total. Okay. Yes, question. No. You could have both. You could have both. Right. Stock watering would be, there would be an amount for stock watering, a number of units, livestock units, a number of, for domestic, number of domestic units, most likely 1 for a house, for one house, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, just stepping back. We have this policies by topic. And if I come here, diversion depletion quantities, this is a description and links to some documents that talk about why we use what we use. Some background information on that. Okay. All right. So where are we at on time? And you still need to go? Okay, sorry. All right. Let's just Okay. Well, yeah, if there's no lunch yet, then I'll just keep going. I just had a few more notes, but these will probably go fast. Just a note about adjudication, where to get some adjudication information. If I come here to just go to this adjudication main page, and I can go to link here for active adjudications. So that's going to be a list of some of those areas that Mike talked about that they're actively working in. And any one of these, I can click on a map, and let's just click on one real quick. Click on here, and I can see a list of all the water rights that are being, oh, yes. Got the scroll bars inside the scroll bars. A list of water rights that are being looked at as a part of this particular subdivision, Little Cottonwood Creek subdivision. Okay, and then you can also click on that and view all of those points. So there's a few layers. You'll see on our site, as you go to map searches, there's different layers that will show up depending on what it is. In this case of adjudication, you get a bunch of adjudication layers. The purple is the subdivision boundaries. So maybe let's zoom in a little, and we'll just turn off our search results for a second. You can see that 57-23, there's the boundary for it, and then you can see the water rights that are being looked at. Okay. Also important for adjudication, turn some of this on, is we do have those hydrographic survey maps that Mike talked about that are available right here on the map. Depending on when they were published, some are just like an image. You can see the image, right? Those are important maps because most often, you know, when that adjudication happens, that map is really going to define where that place of use is for the water right. Let's see. Okay, our division, in order to gain more knowledge and make better decisions, we've over the years relied on publications and having studies done. Just want to point out some of the stuff that's available in this data menu. Publications, so there's numerous publications, both that we've commissioned or others that somehow have relation to water rights that can be accessed here. We have our GIS data, so those layers on our map that are ours that we generate. We have a repository of GIS data where you can access that, download it, use it in your native GIS software. Yeah, question?
So in a district that annexes in a new area,
Mhm.
And that's recorded with the county, does those county records come to the Division of Water Rights and then get adjusted, or do we have to do it both at the county recorder's end with the division?
So you're talking about a municipality. Okay, so the question is, like, if a municipality annexes some areas, do they need to update that information with our office or with the county? So with a municipal place of use, it is the service area. So whatever the service area it is, it is. A lot of the place of use that, for example, that I've shown on the map is specifically irrigation place of use. That's really where we're keeping track of the polygons that define that place of use. The municipality, it's just a municipal use. I will say, as a part of the water use reporting program, those municipalities that report their water use to us, part of that annual process, if they have, we do have service area boundaries that we collect in conjunction with Division of Water Resources, and part of that process to submit their data, they also are to update us with updated municipal boundaries, or service area boundaries, actually.
New areas annexed into our district, when we report that at the beginning of the year, we also report that annexation.
Yeah, so
Or do we have to do we have to have a land surveyor describe the area and report that?
no, okay, so the question is whether or not we'd have to have a land surveyor to report that and record that, and whether or not it's done each year with the water use reporting. And so the answer is no to the land surveyor. It's just it's not a survey grade map. It's just a polygon, a well-drawn polygon. But yes, each year when a public entity reports their water use, one of the questions is, has your service area boundary changed? If so, and then there's a process to work with our staff and Division of Water Resources to update that information. So, let's see. Okay. Also on the data, and we don't have a lot of time, but there's a whole groundwater section, talks about all those recharge recovery projects that are happening. We have resources for looking at groundwater levels, resources for even running basic groundwater models for different areas right here on the website. So if you're interested in that, you can always reach out to us. Let's see, finally, just to emphasize that we do, I kind of touched on the water use reporting. We haven't talked about that, but there are entities that are required to, everybody is required to have a measuring device in the state. That's in statute. There are entities where we have specifically requested them to report their water use to us. There are some entities by statute that are required, such as public water suppliers, secondary water suppliers that are required to report to us. Okay, so all that information is here under programs, water use reporting, water use data. Okay, and so there's a list of all these entities that either are currently required, or at one point you can see some that are marked inactive that have reported water use to us. You can click on any one of these and it'll show you all the water use that they reported of using from all their sources. Okay, so that's
Jim,
yeah.
someone in the chat wants to know how you get to, and then I just lost it. Hang on, sorry. I think the water use calculator.
Okay.
Yeah, the water use calculator again.
Okay, I'll do that in 1 second. I just want to point out that's one type of water use, water diversion record that we keep, is these self-reported water use amounts. Another one that we've talked about is distribution, and these distribution systems, right? And for a given distribution system, pick the Weber River, I can click on water records. And now these are all locations where we have some sort of water diversion, water measurement related to the Weber River. There's a number of them. Okay, so those are two places, two important types of records that we have is water diversion information. So, okay, last thing, use calculator. Okay, so under programs, water rights, rules, procedures, appropriation policy, use calculator. Got it? I'm going to tell you something. Somebody asked us for something on our website. I didn't know what they were talking about, and so I Googled it, and it took me right to it. So if you're interested, we can just give it a try real quick. How about that? I can type in water. Man, this keyboard is throwing me off. Water rights. Use calculator. Gosh, that other one that was showing up was, am I spelling that right? Man, it's hard to, yeah, here we go. Let's see if that's it. Yep, there it is. So Google's great. Okay, one more question.
Is there a legend that says what all those things in the depletion column are, or anyway?
This column?
Help somebody new figure out what the input should be?
Oh, the question is if there's a legend that help people know what they should be, what the values should be.
What is depth?
Okay. Dep means depletion. Dom means domestic. Oh, there you go. I'm not sure that it says what Dom and Dep mean. So, but yeah. Okay. We good? All right. Let's be done then. Thanks for your time.